Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Chem Insider. In today's class we are going to discuss about the bond parameters. The bond parameters are the very important concept for an ionic compound to be forming, and if you have to understand about the concept of formation of bonds in between two ions, that is a cation and an anion, you need to know specific bond parameters. We are going to discuss the three parameters today, and in the next video we will discuss about the two more. So first we'll start with the heading bond parameter. So what do you mean by bond parameter? We know what is parameter. Certain physical quantities which going to help or understand the express a certain criteria of physical quantities of a given compound or molecule. If you have to learn about the physical quantities which are going to explain the state of a bond, then that particular parameter are called bond parameters. We have 5 bond parameters. Those are, first one is bond length, second one bond angle, third one bond enthalpy, fourth one bond order, fifth one resonance structure. Out of these 5, the first 4 are quite related to one another, but not the fifth one. It is because of some quite exceptions when we come across certain different polyatomic ions. Okay, so the 5 parameters which we are going to study are bond length, bond angle, bond enthalpy, bond order, and resonance structure. In this video, we are going to discuss about bond length, bond angle, and bond enthalpy. In the next video, we will discuss about bond order and resonance structure. Now first, what is bond length? So as we have understood in the previous classes of chapter 3, we know atomic radii, right? Atomic radii and ionic radii. Usually atomic radii come across 3 types. Atomic radii as of 2 and ionic radii for the separate one. Atomic radii has 2 particular radii types, that is a covalent radii and a metallic radii, whereas in case of ionic radii, we come across van der Waals radius. Now first of all, what do you mean by bond length? For that, in order to understand the bond length, let us consider 2 atoms or 2 spring balls which are held by a thread. If you consider 2 spring balls, if you consider 2 spherical balls held by a thread, what happens is, if this thread which you are taking is elastic, if you are considering this particular thread which is holding on the ends of this particular thread are 2 sphere bobs, then what happens is, if the bond is elastic, these 2 atoms will be moving away from one another and towards one another, right? If they are stretching, they will be of this distance, and if they are compressing, they will be of this particular distance. Okay, if this bond present over here, if the string which is tied to the 2 sphere bobs is elastic, then it clearly can undergo expansion or compression. Similarly, the bond between 2 nuclei are always elastic in nature, therefore it might undergo expansion or it might undergo compression. Therefore, if we have to define bond length, we have to take its equilibrium state. Therefore, bond length of a molecule of an atom, bond length of a diatomic molecule is defined as equilibrium distance of the 2 nuclei of atoms which belong to the same atom or different, it doesn't matter. It is the equilibrium distance between 2 nuclei of atoms which are same or different. Okay, bond length is the distance between 2 nuclei, that is the equilibrium distance between 2 nuclei which are held by a bond of 2 different atoms. Okay, so that is what bond length says. It is the equilibrium distance between two nuclei of atoms held by a bond. The bond may be covalent or electrovalent, doesn't matter. So bond length is the equilibrium distance between two nuclei of an atom of atoms held by a bond. Okay, so there are two types of bond length. One is a covalent bond length and van der Waals bond length. Sorry, there are two types of radius, covalent radius and van der Waals radius, which explains the bond length. Usually, whenever you have to calculate the bond length, we use the specific term of covalent radii of an atom. We won't consider the complete covalent distance. What we consider is, we consider the covalent radii of the atom of the given molecule in order to find out the bond length of that molecule. Like for example, if you consider chlorine molecule, we discuss its particular radius in order to explain its bond length. Okay, so if we have to understand the bond length, we need to consider the topic of radius of atom. It might be covalent radii or it might be van der Waals radii, it doesn't matter which you are considering. It completely depends upon the type of molecule which you are considering. Okay, so if you have to define bond length, it should be in terms of the radii. Okay, now if you consider for chlorine molecule, it may be related in terms of covalent radii and van der Waals radii also. Therefore, covalent radii and van der Waals radii have the specific definition to explain their bond length. So, what is the bond length in terms of covalent radii and what is the bond length in terms of van der Waals radii? First, how a covalent bond is formed. We know how a covalent bond is formed, that is, they are formed by mutual sharing of electrons between two atoms. If we write on the Lewis structure of chlorine atom, it has one electron over here and one electron of the other chlorine atom over there, and this shares the electron in such a way that it completely fills it octet structure. Therefore, if you write the exact spherical atomic structure of chlorine, if this is the nucleus, this will be the outermost valence shell of chlorine, and this is the nucleus of other chlorine, and this will be the outermost shell of the other chlorine, outermost valence shell. So therefore, if you observe carefully, the outermost valence shell of this chlorine and the outermost valence shell of this chlorine are completely mixed with one another at an intermediate position. Therefore, what we say is, a covalent radii is the distance between the inner core of the nuclei till which it has an electron influence. Okay, covalent radii is defined as the radical distance between the inner core of the nuclei towards the electron influenced variation. That is, if you consider two chlorine atoms which are present adjacent to one another, this radius is approximately defined as the radius of the inner core, radius of this inner core of one chlorine atom, and the influence of this inner core on the adjacent chlorine atom. So this is the final influence shell. That means this outermost nucleus, outermost valence shell of this chlorine atom is influenced with the adjacent chlorine atom and it is inside the valence shell of the other chlorine atom. Therefore, this nucleus have covalent radii over there and this chlorine atom has influence till here, right? So therefore, this particular distance had to be removed out. This particular distance had to be removed out. So the total bond length will be this distance, in which we have this and this from the covalent. If this is the nucleus of left chlorine, this is the nucleus of right chlorine, and this is the last point of influence for first and this is the last point of influence for the second chlorine. This distance is an additional distance between the two nuclei. Therefore, the overall distance had to be cut off with some value. Instead of writing the chlorine atoms as such as like this, what we do is we write the chlorine atoms in a chlorine molecule bind with one another in this shape. Okay, that is because this shell of the one nuclei and the other shell of the other nuclei will be mixed with one another, bond with one another. That means they have influence with one another. Therefore, instead of they are being just touch with one another, they will be completely inside one another. Okay, that is what the covalent radii comes into explanation. Next, if you consider for the van der Waals radii is defined as the distance between the nuclei and the core's influence. Now, if you consider for chlorine and NaCl, chlorine and sodium, what happens is sodium has completely transferred electron to chlorine and chlorine has gained the electron from sodium. What happens in this case is both these two, if you consider this as the valence shell of sodium, that is what I am writing in orange, is the valence shell of sodium, and this is the valence shell of chlorine. That nucleus of sodium and chlorine will be having certain amount of influence around the outermost shell, even though they are having any electron present in them. Okay, so the radius of chlorine molecule in case of van der Waals molecule is the distance from this point to this point, whereas in case of covalent radii we are discussing about the distance of these two positions. In case of van der Waals radii we are going to discuss about the distance at this position. Now, if you consider for a chlorine molecule, in order to explain the valence shell, let us draw this particular structure from which you will get a clear idea. So this is chlorine atom and this is one more chlorine atom. Okay. So this is how two chlorine atoms of a molecule are intact with one another, and these two will be having certain influence at surrounding it in this manner. Okay. So this will be the influence which will be surrounding along the chlorine molecule. If you consider one more chlorine molecule just next to this chlorine molecule, what we can say it is like this. Now, this has influence at this point and this point. Now, what is covalent radii means? The covalent radii is nothing but the distance between the two nuclei. This is the covalent radii. This is covalent radii. This particular distance between the two nuclei is the covalent radii. I have half of the covalent radii. So, if you take half of this value, that will be the covalent radii of chlorine molecule, which is one to another adjacent. Then, what is van der Waals radii? Van der Waals radii is this distance, the point from this and the point from this, half of this distance. Okay, so this is the bond length of covalent molecule, van der Waals molecule, and half of this value is the van der Waals radii, van der Waals radius. If you consider these two chlorine molecules which are just touching one another in the nucleus pair of influence, covalent radii is half of the distance between two chlorine nuclei, half of the distance between, this is the half of the distance between two chlorine nuclei which are attached to one another in a molecule. That is the covalent radii. Then what is van der Waals radii? Half of the distance between two chlorine atoms, half of the distance between nuclei of two chlorine atoms of adjacent molecule. These two are adjacent molecule, these two are adjacent atoms. Okay, covalent radii is half of the distance between the nuclei of two adjacent chlorine atoms. Van der Waals radii is half of the distance between the nuclei of two chlorine atoms belonging to two adjacent molecules. Okay, these two are separate molecules. Half of these two distance is called van der Waals radii. Half of these two atoms which are present one another in the same molecule is called the covalent radii. Okay, and this particular distance is called the bond length. So that is what bond length is defined as. Bond length is usually defined in terms of radii. That is, one is covalent radii and the one is van der Waals radii. Covalent radii explains the bond length of atoms in a molecule, and van der Waals radii explains the bond length of molecules in a compound. If you consider two molecules of chlorine, the bond length of these two molecules is nothing but the van der Waals radii. The bond length of these two atoms in a molecule is called the covalent radii. Okay, so that is about the bond length, and usually the SI unit used to denote bond length is picometer, that is equals to 10 power minus 12 meter. The value of bond length is usually given in terms of picometer. Next, we are going to discuss about is the second parameter, bond angle. The second parameter is bond angle. So, bond angle. Bond angle is defined as the angle between the orbitals which are occupied by the electrons. Like if you consider for an atom such as water molecule, the bond angle here is 104 degree, 5 minutes. So, the bond angle of a molecule or a compound is said to be the angle between the orbitals on which the electrons are being occupied. If you consider for the orbitals of oxygen, it will be occupied along the px and py orbitals. The px and py orbitals will be overlapped by the s orbitals of H atoms over here, and they will be overlapping in such an angle that it forms a bond angle of 104 degree 5 minutes. So the exact definition of bond angle is, it is the angle between the orbitals. It is the angle between the orbitals of the central atom on which the electrons are being occupied, that is the bonding electrons get occupied, This is called as bond angle. In case of water molecule, the bond angle is 104 degree 5 minutes. Bond angle is defined as the angle between the orbitals of the central atom. In this molecule, the central atom is oxygen. If you have diatomic molecule, there will be no central atom, but there will be central position. Like for example, if you consider HCl, so there is no central atom over here. Therefore, the bond angle will be stretched between these two atoms itself. So this bond angle is 180 degree. Okay, bond angle is nothing but the angle between the orbitals on which the bonding electrons get occupied. It might be over the central atom or it might be over the bond itself. Okay, so this is about bond angle. Next is a very important topic called the bond enthalpy. So bond length, bond angle are not that quite easily understood, but in case of bond enthalpy, you need to know certain terms of how a molecule has to have a certain bond enthalpy. Bond enthalpy of a molecule clearly explains the stability of that molecule. If you consider any two atoms having certain amount of bonds present in them, like if you consider for the covalent bonds, as I said in the earlier videos, covalent bonds are those in certain where we have a share of electrons present between them, and those electrons will be attracted by the nucleus using some sort of amount of force. It might be electron valence bond or any different bond. Therefore, when you consider for a bond enthalpy, it denotes that it has a person or a molecule possess certain amount of energy when it is forming a bond. So therefore, when you have to break that particular bond which is formed between two atoms of a molecule, you have to possess certain amount of energy to overcome that particular bond energy. That is nothing but the bond enthalpy. So what do you mean by bond enthalpy is, it is the energy required, it is the energy required to break the bond. It is the energy required to break the bond between two atoms of a molecule. Between two atoms of a molecule. It is the energy required to break the bond between two atoms of a molecule. It might be same molecule or it might be different molecule. And further, this bond enthalpy depends upon bond order. This bond enthalpy depends upon bond order and it is inversely proportional to bond length. Okay, bond enthalpy is directly proportional to bond order and it is inversely proportional to bond length. That means more the distance between the two atoms, easier it will be to break the bond between those two atoms. That is, if you are separating two atoms with a long thread, it would be easier to cut them down. If they are closer to one another, it requires more amount of energy to break those bonds. Okay, and further, if the atoms have more number of bonds between them, like for example oxygen and nitrogen, respectively have double bond and triple bond. So the energy required to break the double bond and triple bond is more when compared to the energy required to break the single bond of HCl. So therefore, whenever you consider bond enthalpy, certain atoms depends their bond order in order to know its respective bond enthalpy. Bond enthalpy increases with increase in bond order and decreases with increase in bond length. Okay, and further we have specific clarification over here that has to be made is, bond enthalpies in the polyatomic system are not same for all bond breaking. Like if you consider for the water molecule, even though these two hydrogens are of the same bond length with oxygen, these two hydrogen bonds, oxygen-hydrogen bond, does not require same bond enthalpy to be broken down. That is because when you break one bond of oxygen and hydrogen in water molecule, it clearly destabilizes the other oxygen and hydrogen bond. When you break one bond of the oxygen and hydrogen, the other oxygen and hydrogen bond will be involved in a different chemical environment. If you consider first, these two hydrogens are next to one another. So, when you take H2O and break its bond to form OH and H, the energy required will be for about 428 kilojoules per mole. Energy required will be 428 kilojoules per mole. But if you have to break the oxygen and hydrogen bond in OH molecule to form O and H, the energy required is about 298 kilojoule per mole. So, clearly we can say that there is a drastic decrease in bond enthalpy when you have to break bonds between the polyatomic molecule having similar type of bonds. That is because once you break the hydrogen bond of one H2O molecule, the OH molecule is not now exactly as a OH2O. So this OH is completely different to the water molecule. Therefore, this OH tries to break down the other bond also in an easier manner. Therefore, that bond enthalpy is slightly less. Since we come across these type of variations, what we do is, in order to calculate the bond enthalpy, we take the total energy required to break the bonds and take its average by dividing it the total number of bonds which we are breaking. Like if you consider for water molecule, the bond enthalpy of water molecule can be calculated as 428 kilojoules per mole plus 298 kilojoules per mole divided by 2. So, bond enthalpy of polyatomic molecules is given as mean or average of the total number of bonds energy required divided by the number of bonds broken. That is, when you sum up the sum of the bond enthalpies used and the total number of bonds broken, once they are divided with one another, we get their respective bond enthalpy. So bond enthalpy is equal to sum of the bond enthalpies of all the bonds broken divided by number of bonds broken. That gives us bond enthalpy of polyatomic systems. Okay, so this is all about the bond enthalpy. In the next class, we are going to discuss about bond order and resonance structure. Once we are done with this, in the later part we can go to polar nature of the bond. I hope you have understood this concept. If you have any doubt regarding the concept explained, please do comment down below, and thank you for watching.